top story back home this evening, though. A show of strength by the central government on the goods and services tax very clearly. Finance ministers of 22 states got into a huddle today in Kolkata to iron out their differences and pass the landmark tax legislation. Virtually every state has agreed on GST, said the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. The Finance Minister of West Bengal, Amit Mitra, chaired that meeting as the centre hopes to roll out the GST from April next year. All right, in fact, Sapna Das has been tracking all the action in Kolkata and she's joining in now with the latest. Sapna, what are you picking up? Take us through the key highlights.
Well, the Union Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, has struck an absolutely positive note on the confidence to try and get the GST Constitutional Amendment Bill passed in the upcoming monsoon session of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha. He has indicated that, most of the states are in sync in terms of rolling out GST. There has been a broad consensus, except for the state of Tamil Nadu. They have raised some reservations, and these reservations have been noted by the Empowered Committee of State Finance Ministers. They will try to be resolved. They will try and get resolved over the next couple of weeks. So that was one in terms of the overall consensus among states. Second, the Finance Minister has also indicated that all the states together have rejected the proposal for a constitutional cap on GST rates, which means basically that the Constitutional Amendment Bill will not carry any of the GST rates as the opposition has been asking so far. The third aspect is on the 1% manufacturing tax. Here the Finance Minister has indicated that, so far the centre has been flexible on this front in the sense that the tax is there only for 2 years. But if the states do want the tax to continue or to be there at least for the first 2 years, well, that clarification will come through. The position on that will be made clear shortly. The other two aspects in terms of the calculation of the revenue neutral rate, some states have raised questions on that, and also in terms of what should the dual control, under the CGST and the SGST laws. Here again, the Finance Minister has indicated that these are procedural issues.
Absolutely, Sapna. Thanks for joining in with that. But we have Sara Patel, the Finance Minister of Gujarat, with us to discuss this further. And Lata Venkatesh is joining in now to take us through that interview. Lata, over to you.
Thanks, Kritika. Mr. Patel, thank you very much for joining us. Well, first, can you give us your key takeaways from the meeting today?
Actually, the meeting was very cordial and most of the states agreed to practically everything which was discussed. It was that all the decisions were unanimous.
Mm-hmm. And what were the decisions, sir?
Say, for example, they talked about this 18% cap in the Constitution. And most of the states agreed that you can't have tax it in the Constitution. Because every time you can't go and change the Constitution if there is any difference.
Yes.
So any decision regarding taxation matters, you can put it in the Act or draft law. That is one way. So unanimously, everyone was clear on the subject.
Was that true even of Congress-ruled states? Because after all, it's only Congress which is objecting.
No one had objected today in any of this discussions.
Okay.
And that was the broad agreement, and I think that will be minuted also in the meeting, so there's no question of anyone objections.
Okay.
Second was the dual control.
Yes, sir.
All the states were very clear that if we want to have a smooth transition, then dual control should not be there. So I think consensus will be formed somewhere between those lines that are below a certain amount. It will be only the states who will be looking after the dealers.
Was that agreed that it will be 1.5 crores traders with revenue less than 1.5 crores will be regulated by the states?
It was discussed, and most of the states have given their opinion for 1.5 crores.
Okay.
But we have decided that we should go into more details.
Okay.
So we are having a meeting again in July, where two issues will be discussed. One is the dual control, and the other will be R&R.
Okay.
So these two issues, the secretaries have been told to have discussions earlier, try to thresh out certain issues, put their points across, and then the ministers will sit and go through everything and come to an understanding.
So today there was no discussion on the rate at all, on the revenue neutral rate?
No. It was everyone felt that it should be revenue neutral rate should be as per actuals. at least we should know what the R&R is. And once if we know the R&R, so taxation rates are different. But at least we know what the compensation going to be if something comes up.
Okay.
So
But
it was a good discussion.
was there unanimity on that 1% tax on manufacturing?
The manufacturing, the thing is very clear that it was the manufacturing states who were more interested. Not all, and FM was very flexible. The states are also very flexible. And states have said that as long as we get the compensation for this, so they have also given the opinions, and I think it is flexible. That's a question: what would be the compensation if this 1% is not there?
Okay. No, what I wanted to ask is, sir, this 1% manufacturing tax on manufacturing benefits your state and my state. Primarily, we are the big manufacturing states.
No, I agree.
So,
It
are the consuming states okay? Because there was a lot of opposition and genuine opposition that this will be a cascading tax. Are you sure if this 1% remains, it will not be a GST deal breaker?
No. Whether it remains or not is not a point which was discussed today. The point, the issue was flagged off. And when the issue was flagged off, Honorable Finance Minister said that if there are any changes in the whole thing, the manufacturing states don't have to worry because then compensation of the revenues will be given.
Okay.
So naturally, when the manufacturing states are protected as far as the revenues are concerned, the objection naturally dies down.
Yes. Okay. So if you are compensated, if your state and my state is compensated entirely for the loss of the 1% manufacturing tax, then there will be no opposition, and these states may not insist on even that 1%. Is that how we should understand it?
Yeah. It's true. See, the thing is, today, if you look at the total CST of all the states, I'm not talking of only the manufacturing states, but all the states.
Yes.
That also includes the mining activities, they also include a lot of activities. The total revenues of all the states comes to around 75,000 crores.
Okay.
So when this 75,000 crores is subsumed, so naturally the revenues have to increase accordingly in GST.
Yes.
If the revenues don't increase in GST, then compensation has to be paid by the center.
Will be that much more.
Yeah. So this 1% additional tax was just temporarily trying to reduce certain amounts from the 75,000 crores.
Okay. All right. So then what should we
I hope you
understand?
understand what I'm saying.
No, I get your point that if this 1% is not there, to that extent, the center will have to compensate more.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so there is a purpose for which even the center may want that 1% tax so that their initial compensation amount is less. What should we understand as the
reason,
sorry?
That's the reason why we're sitting back again to discuss the R&R.
Okay. So the next meeting is in mid-August, or will there be a July meeting where the R&R is discussed?
The secretaries are going to meet very shortly. Maybe by the end of this month or before that also. And as far as the ministers, we'll be meeting in July, mid.
Okay. And at the July meet, the R&R discussions will happen?
Yeah, R&R and dual control.
R&R and, sorry?
And dual control.
Okay.
See, these are the two most important para issues now left.
Okay.
Because R&R will give you the revenues of the state, will decide practically what the compensation would be like, and to a certain extent, what would be the income of services to the states.
Okay.
So that is one, the revenue side will be looked after.
Yes.
The dual control part is how smoothly GST can be implemented. So if the lesser the involvement of state and the center to a dealer, so it will try to reduce the involvement as far as possible.
Yes.
It will be only one authority.
Okay.
except for big ones or something like that.
Okay.
So the lesser the interference, the smoother the transit would be.
Okay. Just a few, an hour probably after the Empowered Group met, the Finance Ministry on its website has released for public discussion the model GST bill. Is that the kind of bill all the states will adopt?
So now we have put in, after today's discussion, we have decided to put in public domain. Now there are a lot of people who would be taking interest in this whole thing. Now a lot of suggestions will come. So if you take the stakeholders into confidence, it is easier to implement.
Yes.
And another point is, at the end of the day, we might also learn something from the whole thing.
Okay.
We might have missed out on something, or we might have taken the opinion and might change something.
Okay. But today in the meeting, did you all discuss the model bill, or you were only told that the model bill is ready and it will be released?
No. We discussed all the states, the whole today. We hardly had any discussions on the constitutional amendment. Our 95% of the time went on to discuss this draft bill, which has been put in public domain.
Okay. This is the bill that the states will adopt. There is a separate central GST which the centre has to pass.
No, there will be three bills besides the constitution. One is the SGST, one would be the IGST, and third would be CGST. So all three would be put under public domain.
Okay.
This will be separated. This is their initial draft. Afterwards, it will be properly separated, and the state assemblies will have to give an approval of the SGST bill.
Okay. So today, the model bill that is just now released on the Finance Ministry website is the model for the SGST, for the state's GST.
Yes, GST, and there are also some issues regarding CGST also, who will look after what,
Okay.
So it will be more clearer once it will be completely separate.
Okay. You got the impression that most of the states were on board with the model SGST that was discussed, or were there some violent differences?
No, there was no violence. In fact, there were certain issues which were raised. This was about the dual control was number one.
Okay.
Then another was the settlement commission.
Okay.
Third one was IGST on exports. So there are 8 to 10 issues, whichever states we thought should be of importance for their state had put in their views.
Okay. So I have just 2 or 3 more questions, if you can stay with us. Were there any discussions on the dispute resolution mechanism that has been a bone of contention?
No, nothing great on it.
Okay, but what do you think will be the eventual dispute resolution mechanism? It will be the governing council of the GST?
Who is the person who is affected? The state government and the central government. So the dispute mechanism should remain with these parties.
Okay. So you expect that
this was not an issue which was discussed much in detail, but this was the views of most of them.
No. Why I'm asking you is, for the Congress, that is a deal breaker. But if the Congress states are on board with the dispute resolution, sitting with the states, then I guess the Congress's opposition can be overcome. What did you get from the Congress-ruled states? Are they okay with the dispute resolution mechanism staying with the governing council?
See, today, I can tell you one thing. All the finance ministers were here. Never once anyone thought within themselves that he was representing so-and-so party.
Okay.
So whatever views which were given by the state were in generally views which he was concerned for his state. So it was not that just because he's a BJP-ruled state or just because the Congress-ruled state, he gave views what his high command wanted.
Okay.
So it was the views which were genuinely given by the state as far as his thoughts were concerned.
Oh, that's very good to hear, sir. I just have 2 more questions. What is the state of preparedness of the IT, the information technology system, the IT backbone, and what is the state of preparedness of the services? Because you guys have to learn how to tax services, the center has to learn how to tax sales tax, so that administrative learning or shift of personnel, will that all be ready on April 2017?
See, that was also discussed. In fact, that was separately on the agenda. And after lunch, this was one of the important topics which we had. And the GST committee is fully prepared for it, a big prepared. And the hardware, the software and everything is falling in place.
Okay.
The states are also preparing for the back-end thing. And one state might be ahead than the other state. But the states are understanding the seriousness of this issue.
Okay. So
And,
April
all the time to
2017
work
is a
on it.
reality?
That is the center has to decide along with the states. So once the constitutional amendment has to pass through in the monsoon session, that is of prime importance. Then 50% of the states have to rectify. Then the act
Has to be passed.
have to be passed by the center as well as all the states. And then the rules have to be formed. And all these things, you have to do it by taking the people into confidence.
Okay. Well, finally, Mr. Patel, as someone who has seen the political setup from close quarters, what is your sense? Despite the Congress's opposition, the Congress doesn't have the numbers in the Rajya Sabha. So can we conclude that the passage of the amendment bill in the monsoon session is a reality? There is no two ways about it.
See, today, if you look at all the finance ministers, the bill was there. Now, how this bill would be converted into actual voting, that is a political decision.
Okay.
But if you look at today as a whole, I mean, consensus was built up on practically everything, and all the states are thinking that a lot of time has passed. We have put in a lot of efforts in a lot of years. So it is time that we should go and do it.
Okay.
And that was the basic consensus, and I think the speed with which the future agendas have been decided by the empowered committee, I'm sure everything will fall in place in due course.
All right. On that positive note, Mr. Patel, pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18. Well, I need hardly reiterate the key takeaways from this conversation. It looks like all the states are on the same page, and that GST getting into the constitutional amendment bill as a rate is not even discussed. To that extent, it's become unanimous. I guess there is a lot of consensus even on the dual control, which of the traders will be controlled by the states, which of the traders will be controlled by the center. Also seems very clear. I think that 1.5 crore revenue cutoff has been accepted, and looks like the hardware and the software for the IT system is also in place. It's only the revenue renewal rate, but we should not take that very lightly. That is the soul of GST. That is the soul of what the states are fighting for. What is the revenue? So I think the key meeting now is July.
And of course, the R&R and dual control will be further discussed in